collective input is there in this understanding. So we will go through this pastime, maybe different pastimes from Srimad Bhagavatam every month. We almost have it once a month or maximum once every 2 months. As you can see, this is the 49th month. So 12 months make a year, so we've been having it for several years. We'll dive back into these deep dive sessions, maximum of at least once every 2 months. So we want you to collectively benefit from this and contribute, to our understanding as well. And all of you have got in-depth knowledge, and everybody's got unique perspective. So the only way we can all learn is by you asking the questions, and more importantly, you actually providing everybody with your inputs on what you see here. Okay, so it'll be very easy for you to follow. That's why we have this audio-visual session, multimedia session, more than just giving a class, right? So you're all used to different devotees giving class. Like I also give a lot of classes, but there is something unique when you're able to use more of your sense organs, like the sense of touch when you're taking some notes, and also the sense of using your tongue as well to read some of these verses. Okay, so don't feel bad. Even if you're not perfect in your pronunciation, it's transliteration, it's not Sanskrit. So we have Prabhu here. He's probably going to turn 93 in the next couple of months. So he's been here for almost all the sessions, 49 sessions. I think he's been here for all the 49 sessions. So he's always hyperactive when it comes to sessions like this. So we have some Sanskrit verses for him to participate in as well. Okay. So we are all one big family here, so feel free, feel comfortable. This is done for your benefit. Okay, so we'll get started. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So again, we'd like to warmly welcome each one of you on this little cold day in Toronto. And this is the 49th month of Srimad Bhagavatam's class that we are going to have today on this Saturday. The title of this particular class that we will go through today is From Seer to Sufferer, the Cost of an Uncontrolled Eye. Okay? So you have some printouts in front of you, but we encourage you not to go through that, because this is for you to take home. Okay, so you will have the essence of what we are going to cover today. You will have this in the piece of paper or 3 or 4 pages that you have. Please take it home, but you don't need to refer to that. If you need a book, we will distribute a book for you to take some notes. So how many of you have some book for you to take notes? If you don't have, we'll be more than happy to distribute your personalized book and pen. Please take notes, nothing like that, right? Because don't depend on any of the printouts, nothing like you taking down the notes of what you think is important, which is going to be helpful to each one of you, okay? So this is like going back to our school time, college time, right? That's the only way we can learn. How well you did in your exam, how you are able to do that. You're able to take some notes and put your mind to it and exactly what we want. If we have to put our mind to studies, why not for our future life or no life that we are all aiming for. Okay, so please take one book, and there are a lot of pens here. If you can distribute the pens for those of you who may not have the pens. Everybody's got a pen? We kindly request you to take some notes, because there's nothing like you taking notes and benefiting from it when you refer to it later on. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, we'll get started. So we want your cooperation, and that will be achieved when you're able to contribute to today's session. Okay? So is light okay? Because you may have to take some notes, right? You are still able to see the screen. Prabhu's in the back, are you able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, Mataji, you're able to see the screen? Okay. So here, this is an immersive study of the past time. Some of the slides in the very beginning I repeated so that repetition causes retention. So it's a deep dive study, as I said. It's voluntary and it's absolutely free. Okay, so as you know, it's voluntary and free. And as I mentioned, you'll get a copy of the summary of the pastime, the lessons to be learned. More importantly, that's the whole idea of these Srimad Bhagavatam that we have. What are the lessons to be learned that you can take away and benefit from these pastimes? And also there'll be a quiz in the end where we'll collectively answer it. We don't put you on the spot or embarrass you by saying, Prabhu, you have to answer this, Mataji, you need to answer this. We collectively answer those questions. And that's also in your printout, and you'll take it home. And the reason we are giving this hard copy for you to take home is next time when anything is asked, down the road, 2 years, 3 years later, all you have to do is to know about this pastime. All you have to do is spend 10 minutes to read this hard copy that you have from beginning to end. There's nothing more that you need to know than what you're going to take away today and what you will follow through here. So it's as I mentioned, commentary by Srila Prabhupada and enriched by insights from various Acharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladev Vidyabhushan, and many other wonderful Acharyas, Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Sampradaya. Their purports and their insights are brought in here, and also from our contemporary Vaishnava teachers, and so that you get a well-rounded exploration of this pastime that we are covering. And what is your role and commitment, right? So we want you to give your attention. It's only for 2 hours that we will have these sessions. It's for your benefit and not for anyone else's benefit. So please stay focused and give us your attention and actively participate, because it's a collaborative learning experience, okay? And it's for yours. Personal growth. We are all going to benefit together when we have sessions like this. And by the way, we don't have sessions like this across the world, right? In many centers, we don't have something like this. So you're fortunate, or we are all fortunate, that we are able to do this. And again, it's not just starting and stopping. We've been doing this consistently for several years. So benefit from this, and you'll see at the end of today's session how you will enrich yourself by deeper dive into these presentation. So as I always do, there are ample contents, includes much contents here, but I'll go through what is critical. But if you're a fast reader, go ahead and read, and every word is critical. And I will also have a lot of cross references to various other pastimes as well as we are going through this pastime, so that you get a well-rounded engagement into this pastime, as well as you'll get insights from other parts of the scriptures as well. And we'll do a nice recap in the end for clear registration of what we covered today. And also, there are many layers of wisdom to uncover in these divine pastimes. Okay, that's the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it takes about 80 to 100 hours to put together what you're going to collectively follow today. So please take notes, as I mentioned, that will really help you. And also lessons and application, real world spiritual lessons will be discussed, okay? And quiz in the end for retention and understanding. And these are gems and jewels from this pastimes have been mined with utmost dedication to for our understanding, okay? And we will have to internalize the lessons learned during this session. So from now on until about 6:30, we'll have to internalize what we learn for your benefit, for your family's benefit, and what you are going to go through in these deep dive sessions is that you may forget this after, let's say, maybe 6 months. But all you have to do is, because of your deep attention for the next 2 hours, it'll go deep into your consciousness. And all you have to do, pull it from your subconscious level after a few months, just by reading this hard copy. Okay? You will benefit immensely from that. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Hare Krishna. So we'd like to welcome devotees who are coming from the West End as well. So we'll chant one Hare Krishna Mahamantra for their efforts as well. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the power of attention, so we want your attention. I put this slide again, every time, so that we have the attention. Attention is like light, it illuminates whatever is there. And you all agree, right? Attention builds a relationship. Do you agree with that? Attention builds a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So if you're talking to me and I look here and there, or maybe I look at my watch. You're giving me something important, but if I look at my watch, that means you're not giving too much attention, right? But if I'm attentively hearing what you're saying, that also builds relationship. So attention to details are important with subject and with the object. Is the foundation of learning, right? So if you don't understand, that means we are not paying attention. And also it enhances our memory when we are paying attention. All of us are here because we have done something in our life to come to Canada. If you're not born in Canada, you all came to Canada because you can contribute something to this country, and because of the attention that you had put in whatever field you are in, and you're continuing to do that. So it's also memory enhancement, and attention determines skills, right? If somebody is an artist, somebody is a sportsman, extraordinary sportsman, it's because they were paying attention to what they were doing, right? So if you pay attention, you become an expert in anything. So we want you to be expert in today's session that we are dealing with. So one person is a straight, he can shoot straight, while other cannot because of the attention. The shooting championship, anything that you can think of, it's because of the attention. And from the simplest task to the most complex, the root cause of success or failure is often attention or lack of it. Okay? So as we welcome more devotees, Amal Thakur Prabhu and Mataji are coming. So thank you, Prabhu. Please come. And Prabhu is instrumental for printing all these copies. So all I have to do is send it to him, and Prabhu will print this very nicely. So you can thank Amal Thakur Prabhu later on. And Mataji for encouraging Prabhu to print all that as well. So welcome, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So there are more spots here with table option and the hard copy that Prabhu has printed. Okay, so if you can just give some space, that'll be great. Okay, so just a quick recap, another 2 minutes, and then we can dive deep into this session. So these are all, we mentioned about 49 sessions. How do we know it's 49 sessions? Because we do track each one of those sessions, okay? So these are all, we started in 2015. And we're continuing, as I said, Hare Krishna Prabhu, please come. You have spots in the front as well. So these are all the topics. I'm not going to go through individually, but we covered Vritrasura pastime, Chitraketu, Daksha, Narayan Kavacha, Matsya pastime, Rishabdev, Bharata, Brigum, on and on, right? So whatever you're seeing today, the same level of intensity was there in all these sessions in the past few years as well. So you can see here Maharaj Katwanga, Narakasura pastime, and on, Ranvideva, how Krishna retrieved Devaki's sons, marriage of Sukanya and Shayavana Muni. And here we are, 49th month, the downfall of Saubhari Muni. So because it was a very cryptic title that we had, Seer to Sufferer, right? So that's the title, and which actually encapsulates this wonderful pastime, downfall of Saubhari Muni. And I also, you can make a note of it, right? So we have handed over the book to you with pen and paper. You can make a note of it, right? So that if you want to refresh your mind later on, you'll know, rather than searching a needle in a haystack. Srimad Bhagavatam has got 18,000 verses, many chapters, many cantos. So what we are going to cover today is everything that is referenced in Srimad Bhagavatam about Saubhari Muni, and it's in 2 chapters. Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 6th chapter. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 17th chapter. Okay? So I'm just referencing this so that you can also refresh your mind, along with this hard copy that each of you will get. And if you want to take something more for some of your friends or colleagues, please do so. Okay? So here we are. So we have already covered, verse by verse, we have covered 3,800 verses plus several other verses out of the 14,094 verses that we have in Srimad Bhagavatam, which equates to 18,000 slokas, right? So we have covered over 27% of Srimad Bhagavatam, but in reality over 70% we have covered. Okay? So hopefully we have some space for everybody. So far we are good, Prabhu. Okay. So again, we'd like to sincerely thank each one of you for giving us your valuable time. We can promise you that you will feel enriched and spiritually energized at the end of today's session. Okay? Again, the success depends on your contribution to how we learn this. Hare Krishna. Okay, so before we get started, as we usually do, we'll chant this Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 3 times again sincerely. And this mantra, as you know, was given by Narada Muni to Dhruva Maharaj, and it's also part of Narayana Kavacha. And for those of you who have got Shaligram in your house, this is the main mantra that we use to worship Shaligram. Okay? And also it is called as Dwada Shakshara mantra because it contains 12 syllables. How do we know it's 12 syllables? See that? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 12 syllables, right? And also Srimad Bhagavatam begins with this. 18,000 verses or 14,094, whatever you call it, starts off with this Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's also the invocation mantra in the second canto, and it's also the Mula mantra to worship Shaligram Shilas, and also this is the mantra that was given by Narada Muni to Dhruva Maharaj as well, over almost 2 billion years ago. Billion with a B, not million, 2 billion years ago, and eventually Dhruva Maharaj saw Lord Vishnu face to face, and Srila Prabhupada explains that with this mantra we can chant and go back to Vishnu Loka as well. So Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and now we have one more, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This mantra is also part of Narayana Kavacha mantra that was given by Vishwarup to the Devatas over 120,400,000 years ago. So whenever I put some years, for those of you who have any questions, send a note to me. How did you say it is 120? And I love to explain all that. How was this? Narada Muni gave this to Dhruva Maharaj almost 2 billion years ago. I've done all the calculation, and that's why we put here. I'll be very happy to send it to you if you have any questions, depending on which of the 4 yugas, Satya Yuga, which of the Satya Yuga, how many yugas ago, etc. Right? So these are statements of fact. So we'll chant this Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 3 times. You can close your eyes and then worship the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So when you hear classes, you may not know about all these things, right? So that's why once in a while we like to put this so you know the background of this mantra, how ancient it is, how powerful it is, etc. Before we start, we'll also chant this Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Prabhu, would you be able to recite this?
Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Nar Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and to Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Explanation if required. Srila Prabhupada is the Shiksha Guru for all.
Shiksha Guru is for all. We have gone through the Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, etc. Right? So this is a beautiful verse that we chant before we start any Srimad Bhagavatam classes. Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Anybody would like to read this English translation?
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and rendering of services to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Wonderful. So again, there are some pictures aligning with this wonderful verse. This is a favorite verse, one of the most important verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. Nigamakalpataror galitam param sugamugamrta drava samyatam pibata bhagavatam rasamalaya muhurav rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Anyone else would like to read the? Yeah.
O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Srila Shukdev Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls.
So, including liberated souls. So, you'll also read in one of the slides, and you'd have also heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Lord, who's a combined incarnation of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani, who appeared over 500 years ago, was hearing the same Srimad Bhagavatam that all of us are reading for 3 hours every day near the Tota Gopinath temple. For those of you who've been to Jagannath Puri, near the Tota Gopinath temple, every day, 3 hours from Gadadhar Pandit. Okay? And some of the pastimes it is said, like Dhruva Maharaj's pastime, Prahlad Maharaj's pastime, he will say, read the pastime again, read the pastime again. So it said that he heard it over 100 times, these pastimes. So we are just following in the footsteps of these great personalities, and that is why we have these Srimad Bhagavatam classes. So importance of hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, which is called as Bhagavata Purana. So any Mataji would like to read this?
Sri Chaitanya Bhagavatam Madhya Kanda 21-24. One who thinks I understand Srimad Bhagavatam does not actually know the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam.
So again, it's important, right? So today when I showed Saubhari Muni, some of you may have thought, yeah, I think I know this pastime. He was meditating in the water and then later on, right? Hare Krishna Prabhu. So there is no way we can know the length and breadth of Srimad Bhagavatam. Every time, even when somebody gives a class today on the Srimad Bhagavatam Saubhari Muni pastime, tomorrow, if another person is giving a pastime, you will always, hear something new. Have you heard that? It's not the same every time, right? There is just one word, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, one word of Srimad Bhagavatam has got many meanings as well, right? So it will just expand more and more and more. That's why here it says that if somebody thinks that, I understand Srimad Bhagavatam, it's always new, right? It's always incomplete. What we know today and what we are going to hear tomorrow will be new and more. There's a similar verse, similar to this. Maybe another Mataji can read this. Please.
One who thinks Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata Antya Khanda 3.514. One who thinks I understand Srimad Bhagavatam does not know the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam.
See, I just got these two verses together that almost gives the same meaning, right? So to tell us, don't think that you know. We don't know, right? Like there is always something that we will not know. We will actually learn more and more as we hear more and more. So, any other Prabhu, Gansham Prabhu, can you read this from here? No?
One inauspicious.
No.
No inauspiciousness can enter a house within Srimad Bhagavatam is kept. By worshipping Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is worshipped. The reading and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam awards one devotion service.
Okay? Even if you don't understand the second part of it, right? The first part. No inauspiciousness can enter a house wherein Srimad Bhagavatam is kept. This is one of the reasons why I saw some pictures that Prabhu and others went and distributed books today, right? So one of the advantages in not just, somebody said Bhagavad Gita as it is, right? So you don't get the Bhagavad Gita and keep it in your bookshelf as it is. Right? It's not meant to be as it is there, but to internalize the contents and practically demonstrate it, right, by acting on the contents of it. So similarly, if you have Srimad Bhagavatam just by itself, it's like, you have all these sportsmen wear the helmet and the pads and the gloves when they play IPL matches are going on in cricket, right? You don't see anybody just going without a helmet, right? So this is the protection, right? So we live in a world where there is onslaught from all angles, right? So here it is said, no inauspiciousness can enter a house where Srimad Bhagavatam is kept. Okay. So again, this is from the scripture, we're not making this up, right? So this is from Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur, and it says that if you keep Srimad Bhagavatam as a hard copy, and again, the intent is not just keeping that for protection, but for you to read and internalize and change our life before we, end this world. So the flow of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many speakers within Srimad Bhagavatam, Maitreya Muni and many others as well, but these are the general flows of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna gave this to Lord Brahma through 4 critical, come bro, please come, no? I stopped biting, please come. Nobody wants to come and sit down here. So, Srimad Bhagavatam started out with 4 verses, key verses. 2.9.33 to 36. I didn't see anybody writing this down. This is important. Srimad Bhagavatam started off with these 4 verses. Canto 2, chapter 9, verse 33 to 36. Okay, so Srimad Bhagavatam started off with these 4 verses. So it was given by Lord Krishna to Lord Brahma, then Lord Brahma to his son Narada Muni, and then Narada Muni to his disciple Vyasadeva, and then his disciple Vyasadeva to his son Sukhdev Goswami, Sukhdev Goswami to his disciple Maharaj Parikshit, as well as then Suta Goswami gave to all the sages in the Naimisharanya forest, and Suta Goswami to the sages in Naimisharanya forest, headed by Shaunaka Rishi. But all that will be not useful to us if it was not given by Srila Prabhupada to us again. And then Srila Prabhupada to us through Srimad Bhagavatam books and lectures that we have today. So whatever we are hearing and knowing about Srimad Bhagavatam is only because of Srila Prabhupada's effort. So Srila Prabhupada the key. Yeah. So this is a nice little summary of the flow of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are here to please the Lord. Okay. So, can we not spend these 2 hours to please the Lord? This is nothing. There are some, I took some extreme examples, so maybe we'll get you to Prabhu read the first one. Prachetas.
Prachetas worshipped the Lord by chanting the Rudra Gita for 10,000 years to please the Lord.
We don't have that life, right? So we have probably 80 years, 85 years. So all we are asking is once a month, twice a month, this deep dive 2 to 2.5 hours, right? That will really please the Lord. Anyone else? Second person? Prabhu, can anybody read? Anybody who didn't read? When you read, we are going to hear from you, so you get the benefit. Okay, let's give Prabhu. Prabhu, go ahead.
Maharaj practiced extreme austerities for 6 months to please the Lord.
Wonderful. So 6 months, right? So we all know how he just ate grass and leaves for the first month. Second, little by little he was decreasing, and then in the 6 months just air, right? And then stopped even breathing. Anyone else?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard Srimad Bhagavatam every for 3 hours from Gadadhar Pandit in Jagannath Puri.
Jagannath Puri, 3 hours every day. God himself is hearing, right?
Haridas Thakur spent almost 22 hours a day to please the Lord.
Yeah, how did he please the Lord?
Chanting.
It's by chanting, right? So he did various different ways of chanting the same mantra, of course, some of them in his mind, some of them very loudly, some of them a little softer, but he preached that we chant loudly because others also can benefit from it. Even worms and lizards will hear the holy names of the Lord. So that's what we ask. 2 to 2.5 hours is not a big undertaking. So thank you very much for spending your valuable time. Again, these are legends in this presentation. What is black text, purple text, red text, etc. Red text is commentaries by our acharyas. And this is the nomenclature that I use. SP means Srimad Bhagavatam, VCT means Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but I'll go through it as we get to it. Okay? This is one of the best summaries that you can get. Okay, so you can take a picture of it if you didn't take a picture of it. So in Canto 1, there are 808 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. It contains 6% of the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam. If you remember the incarnations, the main 22 incarnations of the God is there. Prayers by Queen Kunti. All these wonderful verses are there in Canto 1. Canto 2, 3% of Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the overview of incarnations of the Lord and their pastimes and using the senses in the services of the Lord, Brahma's meditation and the vision of Vaikuntha. So all that is part of second canto. Third canto, mainly we know it is the pastimes of Lord Varahadev. If you think of big pastime, that's a major part of the third canto, and marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti and Kapila's instructions. Many chapters as well. Canto 4, anybody off the top? You remember Dhruva Maharaj pastimes is there, Prachetas pastimes are there, all that is part of Canto 4. Canto 5, it's mainly Priyavrata and then Rishabdev's pastime, Bharat Maharaj pastime, Jada Bharat Maharaj's pastime, all of them are there in Canto 5. Canto 6, Ajamal's pastime, we covered that a few Srimad Bhagavatam sessions ago. Narayana Kavacha mantras are there, Rudrasura pastimes are there, and then the appearance of 49 Maruts are there. Canto 7, mainly Narasimhadev's pastime. I think Prabhu was mentioning as I was driving Prabhu. He was reading this again and again. So you have Narasimhadev's pastime, instructive story of King Soyagya by Hiranyakashipu, and Narada Muni's wonderful instructions to Yudhishthir is there. Canto 8, Gajendra's pastime, churning of the ocean of the milk, and then Then we also have Vamanadev's pastime, Matsya pastime. Canto 9, you have many small stories and pastimes in Canto 9. So if you get a chance to read pastime in Canto 9, very beautiful pastimes. It contains 7% of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chayavana Muni, Ambarish, Saubhari Muni's pastime, which we are covering today, descent of Ganges or Ganga, pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ram's pastime is also there in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Parshuram's pastime, Yayati, Ranti Deva is there. Canto 10, everything about Lord Krishna is in Canto 10. His birth, his appearance, and everything else is in Canto 10. So I just put a nice summary here, right? So this is not from a web that I've taken, so please take a picture, you'll really benefit from it. It'll give you a nice summary of what is there in each canto. So Mathura to Gokul, Mathura and Gokul, Lord Krishna spent 3 years and 4 months. In Vrindavan, until 11 years, he was in Mathura, Gokul and Vrindavan area. In Mathura, he spent the next 18 years, from 11 years to 29 years. And in Dwaraka, he spent 96 years. So 96 plus 18 plus 11 will give you how many?
125.
Yeah, 125. Okay? And Canto 11, this is Maharaj Nimi meets the 9 Yogendras, and then the 24 Gurus, the song of Avanti Brahmana, and Lord Krishna instructs about the deity worship to Uddhava is there in the 11th canto. And the last canto, Canto 12, the symptoms of Kali Yuga, the 4 categories of universal destruction is there, and Markandeya Rishi's pastime is also there. Okay? So this is a nice little summary. It will give you a hint if you want to read. Oh, where is this Markandeya Rishi? I want to hear his pastime. You can open Canto 12. For those of you who may not have Srimad Bhagavatam, we encourage you to get Srimad Bhagavatam, but also there is an online free it's called Veda Base, VEDABAS. If you go to Google and type in Veda Base, you get all the books, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. by Srila Prabhupada, which is available for free as well. So sometimes you're doing a search, you can go there and get what you want as well. Okay, so today what we are covering is from Canto 9, which is pastimes of Chayavana Muni. Okay, so this is the title. From Seer, when you're seeing something, you become a sufferer sometimes. Seer to sufferer, the cost of an uncontrolled eye. So again, we have to be very careful what we read, what we see. When we are driving, I just came Markham, and then you see in the corner, there are some stores that are not very good, shops and stores. Have you seen that? I will make a left on Markham. Whatever is prohibited is there available nearby. So again, we got to be careful what we see, right? That's the whole intent of today's presentation. Okay, so this is the start of today's presentation. Okay, we encourage others also to read some of this. So it starts off with a king named Yuvanashva, and he was childless, and he had 100 wives. Again, in this day and age, one wife, one husband itself is very challenging. So at those times, he had 100 wives, and he didn't have a child from any of his 100 wives, and eventually he retired to the forest. He gave up on everything, and then he went to the forest. But in the forest, the kind-hearted sages were there, and they performed a fire sacrifice called Indra Yagya. Okay? So again, these are based on Vedas. Okay? It's not like Indra Yagya somewhere else, right? Everything is based on Vedas. And who gave the Vedas first? We'd like somebody to read this text in red. Maybe Prabhu.
Vedas given by
Lord Krishna to Lord Brahma.
Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.
Just the English is good enough.
Okay. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being.
So anytime you read anything about Vedic verses or Indra or Soma or Varuna, just understand this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the scripture that we are reading from. Vedas are given by Lord Krishna to Brahma, and from Brahma we got it. So whatever is there, Veda, when we talk about Indra or Chandra or Varuna, that's why Krishna also mentions in Bhagavad Gita, among the Devatas, I am Indra, I am Varuna, I am Kubera. So again, That's the understanding from this, okay? So the kind-hearted sages in the forest performed Indra Yajna so that the king can have a son. With 100 wives, he didn't have a son. But the power of the mantras from the Vedas that are given by Lord Krishna to Lord Brahma, let's see whether he got a son. So they were kind-hearted sages. So they did a yajna, and for those of you who have seen the fire sacrifice, Dhir Nitai knows, Govindadas Prabhu knows, you'll always have a let's say, yajna kund is there, but also kalash. So you have a kalash, and you will have water in that, and you'll have kalasha dravyam in that, powdered camphor and many things, powdered cardamom, etc. Wonderful fragrance is there, and then it's imparted with a lot of these mantras, and then we sprinkle it all over the house and over the head of the devotees, etc. Right? So it produces amazing effect, takes away the sins, etc. So here, this kind-hearted sages did a fire sacrifice, and part of the fire sacrifice is, imparting the mantras into the water. And their intent was this water, pot of water or kalash water, to be given to the wife or wives so they drink it. And then as a result of them drinking that water, they'll be able to deliver a child. That was the intent. But what happens is they did the yajna for all these wives, and this king suddenly becomes very thirsty in the night. So here, being thirsty one night, the king went into this area of sacrifice. When he saw all the brahmanas were lying down, in a way they were protecting the water in one way, he personally drank the sanctified water meant to be drunk by his wife. Okay? So yajnas performed by brahmanas according to Vedic ritualistic ceremonies are so potent that the sanctifying of water by Vedic mantra, which is called as punya vachanam, right? Invocation of auspiciousness, can bring about the desired result. In this instance, the brahmanas sanctify the water so that the king's wife might drink it in the yajna, but by providence, the king himself went there at night and being thirsty, drank the water. Now what happens?
That's pregnant.
Yes, believe it or not. So, and I just wanted to, I brought this verse from Rig Veda because it is said they performed Indra Yajna. So why is it Srimad Bhagavatam? If it is something about Devata, why is that? So that is why we wanted to make everybody understand this is a wonderful verse from Rig Veda. Would anybody be kind enough to read this? Just the English part of it. Go ahead.
The real God is one. The enlightened ones speak of him in several ways. God is divine, the supreme protector and graceful sentient, the universal soul. They call him Indra, the Almighty, the universal friend Mitra, Varuna, the most acceptable and obliterator of sins. They describe him as Agnim, the supreme guide of the universe, Yamam, the controller of the universe, and Matarishvanam, the life of all life.
Continue.
So in other words, Indra, Agni, Yama, Suparna, Garuthman and others are different epithets for one and the same God, though not exclusively, as the same words signify other entities too in different contexts. All doubts about the correctness of the unequivocal statement and the Vedas uphold only monotheism and not polytheism are set at rest.
Yeah, so usually it's stated, Hinduism is polytheism, right? But it is not polytheism. It is monotheism. You can say it is many features of one divine, right? So it is said that Lord Krishna's body includes every other devata as well, right? So different aspects of the Lord. So you can say eyes are called as, let's say, Indra. Hands are called as Garudman, etc. So it is one aspect. So in that way, we understand this Indra Yajna that is done because it's in Srimad Bhagavatam. That's how we read that, right? Okay, so this is actually a story. It's actually a very prehistoric story, even in the Chinese culture. You can see this, right? So this is the pregnant king. So he becomes pregnant actually. So the Brahmanas understood the king was inspired to drink the sanctified water only by Lord's power, right? How can a man deliver a child? It's just beyond what we can think of. It has actually happened, and then it is there in other cultures as well, right? So here, the power of providence is real power. No one can counteract the power of the Supreme. In this way, they offered their respectful obeisance. They didn't get angry and shout at the king, "What's wrong with you? Can you not drink water from somewhere else? This is, we did this for your wives to get pregnant. You know that we told you why we are doing this Yagya, and you quietly go and drink this." He could not, suppress that urge of his thirst. So it was all meant to be that way. Now, thereafter, in due course of time, a son with all good symptoms of a powerful king came forth from the lower right-hand side of King Yuvanashva's abdomen. From the lower right-hand side of a man, a son was born, and his name was Mandata. Man means gentle, Data means ruler, hence Mandata means
Gentle ruler.
why I'm asking you to say this, because we have a quiz in the end. These are all important questions that will be asked, right? So Mandata means a gentle ruler of the whole world. Now, this baby started crying. When the mother delivers the baby, the mother will give the milk. He's a man. The baby is crying, what we'll do? So then Indra, see how, because the Indra Yagya was made, Indra puts his index finger. So the baby cried so much for milk, and who will take care of this baby? So do not cry, Indra said. He put his index finger in the baby's mouth and said, "You may drink." What a fortunate baby, right? So, in one way you can see, why would, how is it possible for Indra to give the milk to the baby through the finger? How does Krishna eat our offering? All of you offer, most of you offer, right? He eats with his eyes, right? If he eats with his mouth, you cook, everything is gone. What are you going to do? How do you mix it with anything else? So he eats with his eyes. So for divine personalities, it's very common. So here, Indra feeds the baby with his index finger. Okay. So certain things will be difficult for us to understand, but you need to know that we may not have that capability to understand certain things because of our limited consciousness, right? But that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is there. So we'll extract what we need to know. So Yuvanashva performed severe austerities and returned to the spiritual world. So who's Yuvanashva?
The king.
The king
Who didn't have
who didn't have children, who had 100 wives, and who went to the forest, and then he felt this preventable urge to drink, and then he drank. But eventually, after the son was born, and then he's being fed by Indra, and then what he has to do, so he did some fire sacrifices, and then he went back home, back to garden. Okay. Now, Mandata was given the name Prashadashyu by King Indra. King Indra is the mother in a way. The father gives, it's a very unique pastime, right? Father gives birth to a baby, and another man gives milk to the baby as well, which is Indra, right? So Indra gives him the name Prashadashyu, and the name and the meaning of Prashadashyu is giver of fear to Indra. So the previous one was what? Make a note of it. Gentle ruler of the world. Same person is called gentle ruler of the world, but he's also given the name, you are the giver of fear to the criminals as well. Okay? So he was ruling the entire world. Now, I would like maybe Prabhu, we'll get the Sanskrit verse for you. Atindriyam. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. That and we'll get one Mataji to read the English translation. Yeah, go ahead.
The Supreme Personality of God.
Little louder.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not different from the auspicious aspects of great sacrifices, such as the ingredients of the sacrifice, the chanting of the Vedic hymns, the respective principles, the performer, the priest, the result of the sacrifice, the arena of the sacrifice, and the time of the sacrifice. Knowing the principles of self-realization, Mandhata worshipped that transcendently situated Supreme Soul, the personality of Godhead Lord Vishnu, who comprises all the demigods. He also gave immense charity to the Brahmanas, and thus he performed yajna to worship the Lord.
Yeah, I just brought Prabhu's attention as well because, for those of you who do fire sacrifice, right? Many of you may be doing this. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is non-different from various auspicious aspects of the great sacrifice. The ingredients of the sacrifice, the chanting of the Vedic mantras, the regulative principles, the performer, the yajamanas, the priest. It's not for somebody to get bloated, oh, we are also great. No. The fact is, the result of the sacrifice, the arena of the sacrifice where you are doing, and the time of the sacrifice, everything is God. You see, so it's an important, very important aspect, right? So he also gave immense charity to the Brahmana. So for, all of us have been blessed by the Supreme Lord to have enough money. Is that a fair statement? We may say we may not have enough, but is it a fair statement that millions of people will take our spot in a second? We can complain, but think of all the people who are suffering in many other countries as well. Ethiopia, it could be Somalia, and many places of India, or Guyana or Trinidad. In a split second, they will swap our location. If you say, oh, I feel bored in Canada, every day I have to go to work and this and that, they'll say, come, I'll take your spot, right? So we are always so fortunate. We always have enough to give to others. So money is like blood, it needs to keep flowing. The $20 bill that you have, how many times it have been passed by, many hands, etc. So if you hold on to the money, it is like blood clot. You'll have blood clot. It has to keep flowing. You can think of it in reality, the pot, there is a pot hanging in the wall, and you have water in that. You want to keep the water in, you want to keep your money always, oh, it's my money, I want to save it. Automatically there'll be holes in the pot, water will go this way. Suddenly car accident, insurance, you forgot to think, $10,000 gone. Somebody in different parts of the world, your relative, health issues, you are forced to give 10,000, right? So willingly when you give, it's better than forcibly taken away. So again, charity is such an important thing, and along with the yajna, so it's very important, okay? So can anybody read the English verse?
The Brahmana said, Dear Lord, you are sacrificed.
I pulled this from the 4th canto to bring the similarity. Remember, this is a similar verse to the previous verse, but this is from the 4th canto, sorry.
No. Dear Lord, you are sacrificed, you are sacrifice personified, you are the offering of clarified butter, you are the fire, you are the chanting of Vedic hymns by which the sacrifice is conducted, you are the fuel, you are the flame, you are the
Kusha
grass, and you are the sacrificial pot, you are the priest who perform the yajna, you are the demigods headed by Indra, and you are the sacrificial animal. Everything that is sacrificed is you or your energy.
See the similarity between the previous verse and this verse, so there's no difference. And for those of you who are thinking, what is the sacrificial animal? So this is not possible in this Kali Yuga, okay? So if you sacrifice an animal, the animal is dead. But in different yugas, when an old animal is sacrificed, which is no longer done anyway, the old animal discards the body and he gets a newer body, right? So you would have heard that, right? So this is a famous verse similar to this. I'm bringing the context here from Bhagavad Gita as well for those of you who distribute books. So when you're talking about this verse, you can always talk about, these are the corresponding verses. Brahmarpanam Brahmaha Ved Brahmagnau Brahmanautam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. A person who's fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. So the ghee that is offered, the stick that is used to offer the ghee, the agni, everything is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So that's what is the similarity in all these verses. And even when you offer it to the devatas, it goes to the Supreme Lord, right? So here, this is from the 5th canto. O fire god, you are part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, and you carry to him all the offerings of sacrifice. Therefore, we request you to offer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead the yajnic ingredients we are offering to demigods, for the Lord is the real engine. Doesn't matter who you offer it to, it goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that we know from Bhagavad Gita 5.29. Bhoktaram yakyatapasam sarva loha maheshwaram. We can chant this together. Very important. All of you should know this. Bhoktaram yakyatapasam sarva loha maheshwaram sugridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim rikshati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerity. He is the ultimate enjoyer of, beneficiary of all the sacrifices and austerity. Even when you say Indraya Swaha, who does it go to? Krishna. Right? So this is the emphasis again and again. The Supreme Lord of all planets and devatas and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. And again we are talking about yajna, because why we are talking about this? Because Mandata performed many fire sacrifices. And I put this because every time they ask, did Prabhupada sanction this? Prabhupada was always doing this for marriages, initiation, etc. Fire sacrifice, right? And these are all from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. So maybe we'll get somebody to read a couple of them. Maybe Prabhu, is anybody here for the very first time? I'd like to ask this again. Anybody here? Let's welcome Prabhu with Mataji was here. We already chanted Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. What do we lose? Why don't we chant one more Hare Krishna to welcome them? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhu, for giving us your valuable time. We will collectively learn this pastime more by all of your contribution. Okay? So maybe, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, will you be able to read the first three? No need to read the reference, but just the other parts.
So, SB 9.1118, Lord Ramchandra performed uninterrupted fire yajna for 13,000 years.
13,000 years. Okay?
SB 10.84.51, Vasudeva, father of Krishna, performed the sacrifice at Kurukshetra.
Wonderful. So again, this is Vasudeva and Krishna is Vasudeva, right? So Vasudeva is the father of Krishna. Next one.
SB 10.89.63, Lord Krishna performed greatly potent fire sacrifices. Then SB 10.24, Govardhan Leela. Pastime, Lord Krishna instructs Nanda Maharaj that fire sacrifice must be performed. 6.9, Prajapati Daksha, Vishwarupa and his father Swastha performed the fire sacrifice
even in the higher planetary system.
9.20, sage Vishwamitra and then his grandson Maharaja Bharata, the son of Dusmanta, Shakuntala, daughter of Vishwamitra, performed wonderful fire yajna that we read from Mahabharata and SP respectively. Srila Prabhupada did participate in fire yajnas during marriages,
Upanayana,
initiation, housewarming ceremonies,
Garbhadam Samskar. Let's give Prabhu a nice round of applause. Nice job. Thank you. So again, this is just to give a well-rounded thing, So there should be no question about fire sacrifices, right? So I've compiled this from various, chapters and verses of Srimad Bhagavatam to show that it's one of the 9 forms of devotional service, right? How is it one of the 9 forms? But before that, Lord Krishna says fire. We talk about fire sacrifice, right? Again, I've compiled this. Lord Krishna says 5 times in Bhagavad Gita that he's Agni, right? So when you do a fire sacrifice, what do? Put that in the Agni. 7.9, 9th chapter, 10th chapter, 11th chapter, Arjuna is telling that. 15th chapter again. Also twice in Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna says, I am Agni, the god of fire. Among things that purify, I am fire. Again, take a picture because you will not see it anywhere. It's just, these are things that we compile to get the... Oh, by the way, so I superimposed these 2 pictures just to show that this Agni, you see it's like Krishna playing a flute. Where did this happen? Right here.
Yes.
Right here we did this. So some Prabhu took this picture and he said, Prabhu, this looks like Krishna. Wow, what a lucky, so it comes. Maybe it was luck by fluke, whatever it is. Maybe we are always in, thinking of this, but you can't make this up. Right here, this is in Scarborough. Can you see the Prabhu? I think it's Ghanshyam Prabhu who's walking around. I'm not too sure. See the dhoti? I mean, leave this picture and this picture, but I put these two just to show the similarity, right? This is not a Photoshop picture. This is taken right here by one Prabhu. And it's not like he took millions of pictures and one was like this. He just took a couple of pictures and one of the pictures. So we get this many times, right? So again, Krishna says, I'm Agni, I'm Agni, I'm Agni. And this was from last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is fire sacrifice? What is fire sacrifice? Is that part of the 9 forms of devotional service? It's not directly mentioned, but indirectly. Because each one of them, Shravanam, who was the best person who got liberated by hearing? Maharaj Parikshit, 7 days, 7 nights. Who was the person who got, perfection by Kirtana, by chanting? Sukdev Goswami, because he narrated Srimad Bhagavatam. Vishnu Smaranam is Prahlad Maharaj, because always think of Vishnu when he's rolling over the thing, mountain, he's thinking of Govardhan hill, etc. Pada Sevanam, goddess of fortune. Archanam, before we get to Archanam. Vandanam, offering prayers, is Akrura. Dasyam, is servant, is Hanuman. Sakyam, is best friend, is Arjuna. Atma Nivedanam is Bali Maharaj. But Archanam, if you read the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is not even one example of Prithu Maharaj offering Archana. But the highest form of Archana is fire sacrifice. Right? So that's why Archanam, the personification of Archanam is Prithu Maharaj in the 4th canto, because he did 99 fire sacrifices. You remember? 99, that's why we say 99 is greater than 100, because he wanted to break this universal record that is owned by Indra. And Indra was jealous and he came and stole the horse a couple of times, if you remember. We covered this past time as well. So again, fire sacrifice, spending last 10 minutes or so in this fire sacrifice, because that's what Mandata did. And to make sure that we all know it is part of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna did it, Vasudev did it, and then we have so many, Lord Ramachandra did it uninterruptedly for how many years?
13,000.
13,000 years. Again, it's from Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why I put all the verse numbers, so you can make a note of it. Let me double check it, right? You can check it. Okay? So those are all AI generated images. I try to get the best of image corresponding to this, right? Because Krishna did all the sacrifice, fire sacrifice as well. So Agni carries our prayers upwards. The fire in the lamp carries up the prayers of the man to the sky by the flames which are like wings. It's a beautiful one, right? So the flames are like wings. When you offer your prayers, they take it up through these wings. It goes up through the flames of fire. And fire or Agni is the tongue of Lord Vishnu, according to Srimad Bhagavatam 3.14.9. Vishnu, whose tongue is the sacrificial fire. So that's why we say when you're offering anything into the fire, right? So Krishna is opening his mouth, and little baby Krishna also you can think, right? So he's opening his mouth. So always when you say Swaha, offer something. And for Matajis who may be cooking in your house, you're cooking for Krishna. That's also like a fire sacrifice, right? You're putting all the ingredients into a container which is on fire, right? Okay, so very quickly I'm going to go with second part of it. He did all the fire sacrifice, but he also gave a lot of charity, right? We also said charity is very important. So in Bhagavad Gita 17th chapter, verses 20 to 20 talks about the pure charity, passionate charity, ignorant charity, etc. Vedas also talks about it. When you give charity, it leads to prosperity and happiness. See, here it leads to prosperity and happiness. I've provided some verses, we don't have time to go through this. Giving with the right intention. The Vedas highlight that the intention behind giving is as important as the act of charity itself. True charity should be performed selflessly without pride or expecting reward. Is he giving this $100 for anything in return? As I said, he doesn't even know him. He doesn't come here anymore. He doesn't go here, and he gives this, right? This is a clear example. What more do you want? And I put the references from Yajurveda, etc., right? The Vedas prescribe that charity should be directed towards those who need it most and those who uplift the society. Okay? That is preferable. the Vedas describe dana or charity as a way of cleansing sins and negative karma. It acts as a spiritual purifier, freeing individuals from material attachments. Again, I'm saying this, whenever you get an opportunity to give your money for some noble cause, don't hold back. Okay? Don't hold back. The more you give, more you get. Okay? You would have experienced this. Just let go. Let go. You didn't bring anything when we were born. How many of you, when you were a baby, came with money in your hand? We didn't even have a cloth to wear, right? And when we are going, what are you going to take? You will wear a cloth because somebody has put something. And what we are going to wear? What we are going to take? Nothing, right? You can't say to Yamarajas, Yamaduta, 3 of you came, we saw it in Ajamal Pasha, 3 of them will come. So can you bribe them and say, 4 bags are there full of money, you take 1 bag, where are they going to accept? I have a lot of Thailand bahts in my house, the currency is bahts. Can it be of any use here? No. So we didn't bring anything, we are not going to take anything when we go. So give, whenever you get an opportunity, give. Okay? Vedic wisdom teaches that wealth and material possessions are temporary, but the act of giving creates eternal merit. Okay? So it gives eternal merit. It's like you get in future interest in future lifetime for what you give now, right? So charity is a sacred duty that aligns with the cosmic order. Giving brings divine blessing, prosperity, spiritual merit. True charity is selfless, without expectation. Helping the poor, hungry, righteous beings is the highest form of giving. This is from Vedas, okay? Charity purifies karma and leads to spiritual liberation. Wealth is temporary, but acts of charity creates eternal merit. Yajnas and rituals are incomplete without charity. Okay? Prabhu, read this again. Last one. Dear Nitai Prabhu. I want to wake him up, okay? Yajnas
and
rituals
are incomplete without charity.
Without charity. It's very important. So even in India, I've seen some priests come and do something. They say, wow, I see the priest now riding a new bike. So what? Some politicians driving Lamborghini. Why would a priest not get a new thing? He's learned. So give whenever you can, give. Okay? Hare Krishna, Mother. Okay, so Mandata ruled the entire. By the way, who's Mandata? I want to get back to the past time.
The son of
Mandata's father was Yuvanashva. Very good. Yuvanashva had how many wives?
100.
Did they have children?
No.
So they went to the forest, and then the sages were sympathetic and they did a yagya, and the pot of water was drunk by
Him.
Yuvanashva. And he delivered a child from
The right
lower right hand side of his abdomen. Okay, so far we are good. And this son Mandata, and his other name was starting with P. Trashadashu. That means he gives fear to the criminals. Yes. So here, wherever the sun was rising and wherever the sun set, it was meant to be for, I think, British Empire also they say that, right? But here, he ruled the entire world. Okay? So Mandata ruled the entire world. Now, so I put this together. Please take a picture. This will save you a lot of time. Okay? So, summary. King Yuvanashva plus 100 queens had 0 children. Now, Indra Yagya was performed by the sages in the forest so the king may get a son. Yuvanashva, due to unavoidable thirst, drinks the sanctified water meant for the queens. From the lower right hand side, Yuvanashva's abdomen, King Mandata appeared. King Mandata was also called as Trashadasyu, and he married a queen called Bindumati, and they had 3 sons and 50 daughters. The 3 sons were Purukutsa, and some of you may have known, right? So in other pastimes we know that he went to Nagaloka, subterranean realms, and defeated the Gandharvas, and he married Narmada, the river goddess. That's a personality. Ambarish, all of you should know. So maybe who can give us a 30-second elevator information on Ambarish without seeing this? Anybody?
On Ekadashi.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, on Ekadashi.
Prabhu, you need something to drink?
No, no, no.
Some juice or something, tea?
We are making some.
Making something, so, okay, sorry.
Yeah, Ambarish Maharaj was doing Ekadashi, and all of a sudden the Muni came.
Any name of the Muni?
Yeah.
Durvasa Muni. Yeah. With all his disciples, he came and then he said, wait, I'll go take bath and come. And the time was running out where you have to break the fast. And then it is said when you drink the water, it's like eating and not eating. So he did that because it was prescribed in the scripture. And then Durvasa Muni was so angry and he wanted to kill him and he took the hair out, plucked his hair out. By the way, plucking the hair out, I always like to correlate. Is there any other pastime that somebody plucked the hair out and there was a demon? Durvasa Muni's pastime, yes. Any other pastime?
Shiva.
Beautiful. 4th canto.
Yeah.
He plucked the hair, and what is the name of the demon? I drew a blank as well, by the way. We will get to that, okay? So he actually killed Daksha. What he did was he killed Daksha's head, and Swaha was the head. Rudra's name of Shiva. Prabhu,
No.
have some.
He got the bone from Shiva.
He was created by Shiva when Lord Shiva plucked the hair,
Yeah.
and it starts with V. Somebody check it in 4th canto.
No.
Okay, we'll get to that. So Ambarish is famous for that, and Muchukunda from the 10th canto, he fought for the Devatas, and then he got a boon. I want to just sleep. Sometimes we also feel like that, working for 2 days. I just want to sleep. That's the greatest blessing. So he got the boon and he was sleeping in the cave. Veerabhadra, yes, Veerabhadra. Veerabhadra is the one. Lord Shiva plucked his hair, and then he created havoc in the fire sacrifice that was done by Daksha, because Daksha was the cause of Sati's death. Sati is his own daughter, right? So anyway, beautiful pastime, we covered it here. So Veerabhadra went, and then usually you offer ghee, swaha, or havish, swaha. Here he just cut the head of Daksha and he put the head swaha into the fire. So here Muchukunda was a warrior who fought for the Devatas, and the boon that he got was, he could have asked for anything. Kingdom, long life. What is your boon? I want to just go and sleep undisturbed. And he was given, and it was also, predetermined by Lord Krishna, right? So he was sleeping, and then we know that this great Kalyavana with 30 million barbaric soldiers came, and then he was trying to chase Krishna. Krishna pretended to run, and he chased him, and Krishna went into the cave, and then he went and stood close to this Muchukunda who was sleeping. And this Kalyavana comes and he thinks that in the darkness, he thinks the person who's sleeping is actually Krishna. He's pretending to be avoiding him. So he kicked him, and then this person woke up, Muchukunda. The boon was not just to sleep, and anybody who disturbs the sleep when he opens his eyes, they'll get burned. So Krishna arranged it in such a way so that Muchukunda gets the benefit. He looks at this Kalyavana and he burns instantly. So that is another wonderful son, Muchukunda. And he had 50 daughters. And these 50 daughters, why I brought that up in this nice pictorial format is, the 50 daughters got married to Saubhari Muni. And you'll see that, okay? So Saubhari, this is the second part. So first part was talking about this Yuvanashva, Mandata. And now we're getting into the crux of this pastime very quickly. So Saubhari Muni was engaged in austerity, not in the bank of, we all go to Yamuna, Ganga, right? I went to the Ganges in, Gangotri as well. So you chant in the shores of Ganga and you keep chanting mantras. No, he thought, I'm always getting distracted. When I'm driving, I'm seeing billboard which is very attractive. I'm just making this up, okay? So Saubhari Muni didn't want these material distractions to distract him from his spiritual activity. So he said, I'm not even just going to chant or meditate in the shores of Yamuna. He had the mystical power. So he went deep into the waters of Yamuna so that there is absolutely no distraction. Everybody follows? He was meditating within the waters, so there is no billboard, there is no TV, there is no radio, there is no internet, nobody is ringing the door, no distraction. And guess what happened? Okay? So, and I put some examples here. So he went there and he saw the fishes were engaged in some sexual affair. So the whole idea of him avoiding the world was to not get distracted, but he went and get distracted by that, right? So I just brought these two verses because it's not very unique. Some great personalities live under the water, right? So here, Revata constructed Kushasthali within the depths of ocean, and actually Revati, who's the wife of Balaram, actually she was also living within this ocean. So there are great personalities who are always living within the ocean, not necessarily within, like it's a submarine, right? When you say there is a kingdom within the ocean, it could be like a submarine within the ocean, but still it's not within the water. But just to bring you a couple of examples here, okay? So Revati, Lord Balaram's consort, grandfather Revata had a kingdom within the depth of ocean. Just to connect it, that great personalities were under the water, okay? So Saubhari Rishi was engaged in austerity, but then he saw these two fishes, and then he came out of the river with a desire to get married. Okay? So what does he do? Where does he get a girl to get married? He's in Mathura area, because where is this river? Yamuna, Mathura area. So the king who ruled the entire world, and especially Mathura, was Mandata, because he ruled. So he goes directly to the highest person, not looking for some women, hey, can you get married? He goes straight to the king and he says, I'm Saubhari Muni, I want to get married. And all of you have taken some bath in tub at some point when you're young or your child, or in a swimming pool. When you take bath in the swimming pool for 1 hour, 2 hours, what happens to your skin? Little wrinkled, right? You see that? The skin will get wrinkled if you're spending too much time in the water. This Saubhari Muni was spending years and years underneath the water. So how handsome he would have been? Not at all, right? He's a spiritual person, but his looks are not good at all. And now he's asking the king, by the way, king is the highest authority, the ruler of the world. I want to get married to one of your daughters. So he goes and approaches, and his king is looking at him. He's scared of his power. But what sort of looks you have? None of my daughters will want to get married, right? So he goes and, so he gets attracted to fulfill his desires. He said, I want to get married. So the king says in a very beautiful way, "Oh Brahmana, any of my daughters may accept any husband according to her personal decision." In a way, he's saying no, but he's not saying no. He's saying if my daughters want to get married, whomsoever they want to get married is their wish. So the Saubhari Muni understood that there is a problem. It's not like he's saying, please, yes, of course I will get you married to all my 50 daughters or one of my 50 daughters because you look so handsome now. So according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Mandata was the king of Mathura, Saubhari Muni was engaged in austerity while submerged deep within the river Yamuna, and therefore Mandata indirectly refused the sage, saying it's a personal selection choice of each one of his daughters. Right? That's the best thing that the father can do, right? He cannot force his daughter to get married to somebody who's like really weak and old, etc. Meditation underwater. I'm bringing one more. As I said, I'll be bringing a lot of cross-reference. Maybe can somebody read this?
Yeah, the
Prachetas
lived underwater for 10,000 years, chanting the Rudra Gita that was taught to them by Lord Shiv. In the end of their austerity, the 8-armed Lord Narayan appeared before them and blessed them.
And again, Saubhari Muni was engaged in austerity within the water. So within the water, we have more examples. Revati's grandfather had a kingdom. We had Prachetas chanting the Rudra Gita. So I think we did this fire sacrifice in Toronto temple as well, right? Yeah. We did that. It's beautiful set of prayers from the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 4.24. Beautiful verses, Rudra Gita. So they chanted it for 10,000 years under the water. So you can chant that too at your home. So for those of you who are interested, send me a quick message. I'll send you the verses. I mean, you can pull it from Srimad Bhagavatam, but instead of you spending time, I'll give you the exact verse numbers. Just read the transliteration and the English verses.
It's for offering to Lord Shiva?
No, it's the mantra that is given by Lord Shiva to please Lord Krishna. So it's called Rudra Gita because it's given by Rudra to Prachetas to please Lord Krishna. Okay? Yeah, somebody asked me, Prabhu, do we have to do this Rudra Gita? Yeah, it is for Lord Krishna. right? So they need to know. It's the 4.24. It's one of the greatest mantras to Lord Krishna, given by Lord Shiva to Prachetas. Who are Prachetas? The sons of Prachinabhari. Right? So we'll get into that pastime later on. But so this is again AI generated image. This is the best that I can get. Right? He's chanting, you have this tortoise and you have this fishes, right? So even this you can say is little handsome, but in reality he was not, right? So that's why the king said it's up to my daughters. If anybody wants to get married, he can get married. So you'll not see this picture in the web because I sort of worked with ChatGPT to make it better and better and better to get this. But we get the idea, right? He's chanting within the waters of Yamuna. Okay, Bhakti Vinod. So because of his eyes, the problem, not to say that when somebody gets married, all of us are married or most of us are married, we will get married, right? It's not, but he had already progressed in a different path, so it was like a fall down for him. Getting married is not a problem if you're in the Grihastha ashram, but he was in the Sannyasi ashram, and after many, many years, he made a U-turn and then he lost some valuable time, right? So Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, any of the five senses, eyes, ears, tongue, feeling of touch, nose and mind, the leader, if they are not engaged in God consciousness, they turn into our enemies. Okay, you all agree, right? Yeah. Even when we are hearing in a class, when our eyes are attracted to something that should not be going there, then that will drag us and take us, right? So all the senses being in unison is very important. And I extracted this 5 out of 24 gurus in the slide that I showed you, Canto 1, Canto 2, up to Canto 12. If you remember in Canto 11, there were 24 gurus. Again, the importance of using our senses properly. Okay, everybody follows so far?
Yes.
So, the moth, destruction due to the eyes. Have you seen the moth? If you have a candle here in the night, switch off all the light. Unfortunately, the moth will come at full speed and get engulfed. Self-immolation like Sati, it will die. Okay, moth, because of uncontrollable eyes. Honeybee, destruction due to the sense of smell. Because of the sense of smell, it gets trapped in a flower, and in the evening, some of these flowers close the petals, crushed to death. Okay? Again, importance of sense of smell. Fish, destruction due to the sense of tongue, right? They just see the beautiful thing that is covering the, what do you call that? Bait, shark bait, right? They don't see the actual death that is there, right? So again, importance of controlling the tongue, chanting and eating prasad, etc. Insatiable tongue, the tongue is the most difficult to control, right? Fish sees the bait and not the sharp hook underneath. Bhagavad Gita 17.50, austerity of tongue. Chanting, eating prasad, and speak the truth, read the scriptures. That's what is the intent of the tongue. Param drishtva nivartate, higher taste means the lower taste goes away. Deer, destruction due to the sense of hearing. Okay, so this is the Muni, the pastimes there. When hunters play a flute or other musical instrument, the deer actually gets attracted to that and they will catch that. Deer also falls prey to the eyes. They say deer in front of the headlight, right? Elephant, destruction due to sense of touch. Using a female elephant, male is lured into the pit, deep well, and then after that, unfortunately, is in Toronto Zoo, Pattaya Zoo, etc. Right? So again, these are examples that tells us the importance of controlling our senses. So here, Saubhari Muni was not able to control the sense of eyes, right? So how do we use the eyes? Again, all of us are using it in many ways like this. So we're going to get somebody to read it. Who did not read it? This is a beautiful verse from 9th canto, 4th chapter, 18 to 20. You get the benefit when you read. Please go ahead. You can read from Maharaj Ambarish always.
Maharaja Ambarisha always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna. His words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, and his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna temples and Krishna places like Mathura and Vrindavana. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulasi offered to the Lord, and he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasada. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaja Ambarisha never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in the devotional service in various engagements related to the Lord, and this is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires.
Wonderful. Let's put our hands together. Wonderfully there. Thank you. Very clear. Very nice. So, how to use the eyes in devotional service? Again, I'm bringing it from 9th canto, different chapters. Okay, Maharaja Ambarish engaged his eyes, as Mother just read, right? In seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temples, Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. Now, eyes when not used in devotional service are like eyes on the peacock plumes. Have you seen peacock plumes? There are eyes in the peacock, let's say feather, you call it feather.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
You've seen the eye, they say eye is there. Can that eye see anything?
No.
It's useless, it just looks nice. So, this is the peacock eye and this is our real eye. So if the eye is not used in devotional service, it is said it is like the eye of the peacock. It sort of looks good from outside, but it's useless. So here, one look, I put some heading there, right? One look, lifelong consequences. The eyes are windows or it can be traps. Okay, so be careful, it says. Where the eyes wander, the mind follows. Both Ajamil and Saubhari Muni's downfalls began not with action but with vision. Everybody agrees?
Yeah.
It starts off with vision, no action. Just starts off with because vision automatically becomes action because of the mind. So these past tense, these are the significant lessons to be learned for us, right? You remember we covered this couple of Srimad Bhagavatam classes ago. So he was seeing something that sort of should not be seen. He saw and he got attracted, and then he got married to the same person. He had 10 children, and then later on he called Narayan, and then he got the second chance, right? But because of uncontrolled,
His eyes.
because of uncontrolled,
His eyes.
eyes. Again, eyes, what you see, then it becomes your desire based on the mind. Again, that's an AI generated picture, just to show you what had happened here. So spiritual knowledge, if all of you say, yeah, I've read Srimad Bhagavatam, I know no, spiritual knowledge is not immunity. Okay? So knowledge without control is incomplete. Don't just avoid the world, learn to see it correctly. Okay? So you cannot just avoid, because once you go somewhere else, you wanted to avoid the world, you went underneath the water, such an insignificant thing sort of triggered all these dormant desires that he had. So that's the lessons to be learned for us. So Ajamil's fall due to uncontrolled eyes. A single scene that ignited the desire, and what followed was years of sinful actions. Okay? Saubhari Muni's fall due to uncontrolled eyes. A single scene that ignited his desire and dismantled his years of tapas or sacrifice. Right? So I took this from 2.67 for the benefit of Prabhu. So Prabhu, if you can read the Sanskrit. So as a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses on can carry away a man's intelligence. So same thing happened to Ajamil. One of the uncontrolled senses, which uncontrolled sense organ? Eye. For Saubhari Muni, which one of the uncontrolled sense organ? Eye. Because of that, they went through this. Now, but even our sense, so the question is, how can our senses be purified? How can our senses be purified? So Prabhu, can you read this? This is a beautiful one. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparattvena nirmanam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. Prabhu, can you? One of you. Yeah. English.
Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord.
Wonderful, Prabhu. So two things. Lord Krishna is the master of senses. Even our senses are, let's say, are impure. So many years, it was not of the best senses. It's impure right now. Who can purify it? Who's the master? Lord Krishna. And when you perform devotional service, what happens? Senses are purified automatically. Okay? So very important was Sarvopadi Vidirmuktam Tatpratvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchyate. So here, it's not the view that's dangerous, it's the lens you use to see it. Okay? So here this pussycat is seeing the mirror and he thinks he's lying. Right? It's good to have the confidence, but not to indulge in something different. Right? So the lenses we choose transform the way we see things. Well, there's a nice verse here. Prabhu, would you be able to read this English?
I am the functions of the five working senses: the legs, speech, anus, hands, and sex organs, as well as those of the five knowledge acquiring senses: touch, sight, taste, hearing, and smell. I am also the potency by which each of the senses experiences its particular sense object.
Yeah, very good. So again, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. We're not taking it from anywhere else. So even when we are seeing things that is not meant to be seen, we bring Krishna into the picture. Then it becomes pure, right? So not in a way that attracts us, but wow, this is the glories of Lord Krishna, right? So because he also says, of causes of procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love. That's again in Srimad Bhagavatam as well and in Bhagavad Gita. So true meaning of peace. This is a beautiful story. I'd like to take our mind outside of this pastime for 1 minute, right? So here there was an art contest, okay? And the title of the art contest was Peace. So most of the artists painted very beautiful, calm pictures of quiet lakes, sunsets, serene landscape. For those of you who've been to Banff, how many of you have been to Banff? How many of you have been to Switzerland? There you go. Prabhu has got to all the places. We need to get a lot of tips from Prabhu. Nothing wrong. It's beautiful. Krishna says amongst the beautiful things, right? Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Sorry? Thank you. So this was a contest to select the most beautiful peace picture, right? So everybody came up with this. But one unusual painting depicted a storm. There were dark skies, crashing waves, lightning and wind, twisted tree on the thing. Can you see here? But which painting got the best prize? Not the Banff picture, but it was this unusual painting depicted a storm, dark skies, crashing waves, etc. Why? At first it looked anything but peaceful, but in a small hole there, a mother bird sat in her nest, calmly protecting her chicks, completely at peace despite the chaos here. Can you see this? Lot of everything happening, but mother bird is feeding the child there. That painting won because peace is not the absence of trouble, but calm in the midst of it. So if Saubhari Muni was probably in his own place, he may have saved himself, but he thought he wants to avoid everything, and he went to beneath the Yamuna, and then he had to still fall. So we don't need to think that where we are is not the best place, we have to go somewhere else. This is a beautiful example. Everybody follows this?
Yes.
Okay? So this is a true meaning of peace. This is a nice little story. So peace is not the absence of trouble, but calm in the midst of it. Okay? So the 11th Guru, so we already talked about, right, the moth, weakness, if you keep a candle, everything. Arjuna tells Krishna as well, I see all the people rushing full speed into your mouths as moths dash to the destruction in the blazing fire. And our eyes are attracted to material beauty and lead us into destruction, attracted by something or by someone. The soul is lost in the fire of sense gratification, falling into the deep well of material existence. So always remember, this whole pastime is about controlling the eyes, and moth is our guru because he cannot control. So we learn what to do as well. Not only what to do, what not to do as well. Right? So Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us both. So this is a nice little story of a moth who fell in love with the stars. So even though we may be attracted to many things, so here this moth said, I'm in love with the stars. He's attracted to the light of the stars, okay, or the light of the sun. So this moth can go only a few kilometers, right? If I keep a candle here, it can come to. Can the moth go to the sun? No, but his aim was so high. I'm attracted to the stars, that he wants to go to the light of the stars. So all his friends and relatives mocked at him, saying, "You're very unrealistic, and focus on something that is local, attainable goal, a street lamp, a candle, or a bulb." You have to die actually, right? And then, but our moth was steady, focused on high aims and ambitious goal. While his friends and relatives burnt into charred bits of ashes in sidewalks and floors, our moth enjoyed a long and happy and healthy life because his aim was unattainable, but his aim was the stars, which is so far, right? So, high ambitious goal can actually keep us safe and sane. If our only aim is sense gratification, only aim, not to say that we should not have, because we are in this material world, let's be realistic. If our only aim is sense gratification and economic development, then we are like the regular moths, fatally attracted to burning fire of material existence. If our aim is distant spiritual world, it keeps us away from material troubles. But even though spiritual world looks far away, dream, but by the mercy of the Lord and Srila Prabhupada, it will be possible. Okay? So nice little story about that. So the king, knowing the power of the rishi, did not refuse the request, but said, "Yeah, it's up to my daughters." Okay. And what does Saubhari Muni do? He himself realizes, I don't think so there was any mirror those days to see his picture, or and then, oh yeah, I'm looking so old. But they are great sages, they know what it is, right? So what he does is, he knows that he's so feeble and old, hair has become grey, skin is slack, my head is always trembling, the head is shaking, he's so old, right? But I'm a yogi, therefore women will not like me. Since the king has rejected me, I shall reform my body in such a way to be desirable even to celestial women. What to speak of the daughters of the worldly king? I have the power. He's saying I have the power of mantras. I can chant and I can get whatever I want. Even he can get any women that he wants, but he wants to be so handsome so that he'll be attracted by any women, any 50 of these. Yeah, this picture seems more like it at least, right? So even after, I mentioned this, right? For swimming for a few hours, skin looks wrinkled, what to speak of under the water, right? So he decided to go to Yamuna river to meditate in the first place so that he can avoid material distractions. However, even under the water, he was fatally attracted due to uncontrolled eyes and fell deep into the trap of which he originally wanted to avoid, right? He originally wanted to avoid this, but he fell trapped even in those, depths of the water. So using his mystic powers, he had gained through prolonged severe austerities, and he was an expert in chanting the mantras. He became so handsome and beautiful that all the 50 daughters wanted to get married. They were fighting to get married. So see the power of this sage due to his austerities and chanting of the mantra. He was only one, but all 50 accepted him as their husband. So he went from monkhood to polygamy, getting married to multiple women, going to the extent of marrying all the 50 princes. Now I'm bringing one more pastime here. You remember 9.3 marriage of Suganya and Chayavana Muni? So there also, to give you a context, right? So here he was so old, Chayavana Muni, but then he got this power through this, mystical powers, and then he became so young to get married as well, right? So there are various other instances. King Ayati married Devayani, but had a child secretly with the maid servant Sharmishta, and Sukracharya, the father of Devayani, cursed him to become old, and then he exchanged his old with a youthful son, which is Puru, if you remember. So you can always become young, in the scriptures, according to the mantras and various other process. And then Krishna is avoiding Sudama, the garland maker, strength, long life, fame, beauty, and ever increasing prosperity as well. So he also never became old. There are two Sudamas. Okay? One is Sudama, the garland maker, and the other Sudama is later on in Srimad Bhagavatam.
His friend.
A handful of rice, right?
Yeah.
And then And then we have this Durva gets blessed by Lord Vishnu. You will never become old. Okay? I don't want to get into this. This is a beautiful pastime. I've given a class on this here, on this one pastime. Tirumalizai Alvar transformed an old maidservant into a young girl who did not age. Okay? So for those of you who know the Alvars, this is one of their pastimes as well. But we'll get to that another time. Okay, so great disagreement arose between the 50 sisters as, you know, as everybody, all the 50 wanted to get married to Saubhari Muni because of his handsome looking personality. Okay? Saubhari Muni's severe austerities not only gave him youth but also opulent material paraphernalia. So he had the best of kingdom, best of maidservants, the dress and paraphernalia because of mantras. He didn't have money to buy. He can just get anything from the powers of chanting the mantra and because of the austerity that he did. Okay? So he got beautiful clear water lakes. Again, this is AI generated. Based on this, I was able to get this, you know, the best of best. Even though he didn't have, let's say, Canadian thing, not even $1, but he was able to get anything that is multi-billion dollars, to say the least, right? So he got everything, as you can see, sandalwood creams and ornaments and everything. Okay. So Mandata,
The king.
who's Mandata?
King and the son
The
of
father-in-law. Father-in-law of Saubhari Muni, because he had married the 50 daughters, right?
Yeah.
So the father-in-law of Saubhari Muni ruled the entire world. He owns everything. But he himself was struck with wonder when he saw the household opulence of this sage. Just imagine, the person who rules the whole world, seeing the opulence of the sage, he was like wonderstruck, starstruck. Oh my, how is this possible, right? So King Mandata appeared in the most uncommon and extraordinary way. He was born from a man, from the lower right hand side of Yuvanashwa's abdomen, and then he was fed by the index finger of Indra instead of mother's breast milk. So he's such a unique person and he ruled the entire world. But he himself is astonished by what the Saubhari Muni gained, zero to everything, right? In no time, because of power of his mantras and spiritual activities that he had performed earlier. Okay, Saubhari Muni enjoyed extraordinary sense enjoyment with his 50 wives. When you say sense enjoyment, because of everything that people can dream of, he had after he married, because he had everything. But was he satisfied or not satisfied? He was not satisfied, because just like fire never ceases blazing if constantly supplied with drops of fat. Keep on pouring ghee, the fire will not go down, but it will go up. So more you have, more you want, more you have to maintain, but you are not satisfied, right? So material desire is just blazing fire. If the fire is constantly supplied with drops of fat, the fire will increase more and never get extinguished. Therefore, the policy of trying to satisfy material desires by catering to one's material demands will never be successful. In modern civilization, everyone is engaged in economic development, which is another way of constantly dropping fat into the material. We all need basic things, right? So we all work somewhere, we all need, let's not say, no, we have to shut it down. No, that's not what I said. Too much of one thing is not going to help us in our progress, right? So, so the Western countries have reached the summit of material civilization, but people are still dissatisfied, right? We all know that. So this is from Srila Prabhupada's purport, by the way. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. We talked about Bhoktaramika Tapasam verse. So the fire never ceases blazing if constantly supplied with drops of fat. Okay? Saubhari Muni realizes the cause of his downfall was the association with sexual affairs of the two fishes. Such an insignificant thing changed the entire course of his life, right? But it is also said, if you remember in the pastime that we had with, when did we cover this? I think 2 pastimes ago we covered this, right? Where we talked about, which pastime was that? No, before Ajamil. That was from the 10th canto. But anyway, so here, this was the Vaishnava aparadh that he had committed, right? So that was the reason, if you remember. So I think I have it in the next slide here. Yeah, so I think we covered the Kalia past time, 2 or 3
Yes,
months
yes,
ago,
yes.
right? Yeah, so this Kalia was living in Ramanaka Island, which is the Fiji island, but was eating all the offering that was meant for Garuda, because Garuda was there. Garuda's natural food is eating fishes and eating snakes. So he was big bird, he was eating everything, so they came up with a pact. We are going to be no more fishes going to be alive, no more snakes are going to be alive at this rate. So we will offer you in one spot every month, you come and eat and go. But then what Kalia did, because Kalia was a big snake, he was going and eating what was offered to Garuda. So Garuda came to kill him, and Kalia knew that one place that Garuda cannot go was near Yamuna river because of the curse by Saubhari Muni, because Garuda came to eat a fish and he said, he ate the fish, king of fishes, and then Saubhari Muni said, next time Garuda, if you come to this area, you will be killed. So therefore Garuda avoided that, and then Kalia knew that, so Kalia went there and then he poisoned the lake, Yamuna river, etc. Right? So our acharyas explained Saubhari Muni's downfall, one of the reasons is because of the Vaishnava aparad that he did against Garuda. Right? So that's the pastime here. So he knew, he ate the food that was meant for Garuda, and then he knew that he cannot go there. These are some explanations that we covered already. So that was 12,000 kilometers he moved from Fiji to Vrindavan, knowing that Garuda cannot come there, and there he was poisoning the lake, etc. Right? So cunning Kalia, instead of surrendering to Garuda and pleading for forgiveness for the mistake, he found Garuda's weak point that he could not go to the place near Yamuna, and therefore he went there. And when he went there, he poisoned the Yamuna river and he killed the birds, etc. And Krishna jumped and then he he was chased. He was chased back to Fiji island eventually, right? So he got a second chance. Usually the demons get killed, but here, because of the prayers by Nagapatnis, the wives of Kalia, Krishna felt mercy and then he sent him away back to where he came from. Okay, so our Acharya, why I bring this up is because our Acharya has explained that was a Vaishnava aparad that made him look at that, right? So, when you're in the deep waters, those two fishes may have been behind him, he may not have seen it, but it had to come to his vision because of the Vaishnava aparad that he made, and then he fell down, but he also got a second chance, right? So you will see that, okay? So Saubhari Muni regrets the association with the sexual affairs of fish that resulted in him losing the results of long austerity and wants others to learn from his mistake. So it's very beautiful, and that's why we are all here learning from somebody's mistake. So Srimad Bhagavatam tells us what to do and also tells us what not to do, right? Indra makes so many mistakes, but we have to learn from both. So every word of Srimad Bhagavatam is important. What not to do is also learned. And here, Saubhari Muni himself is telling, please learn from my mistake. Don't make the mistake again. Everybody follows so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So he regrets that association that he had. And then this is from 9.6. Prabhu? Chittam Ananta Aishe. Okay. So here, a person desiring liberation from material bondage must give up the association of persons interested in sex life and should not employ his senses externally in seeing, hearing, talking, walking, and so on in bad association, right? One should, try to stay in secluded place. Probably Saubhari Muni did that and still fell in, right? It was a secluded place, right? Completely fixing his mind, etc. Right? So these are many verses as well. So here, this is also one more beautiful verse. Alas, for a person seriously desiring to cross the material ocean and engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord without material motives, seeing the materials engaged in the sense gratification and seeing a woman who is similarly interested in more abominable than drinking poison willingly. So, beautiful verses. So here, Saubhari Muni realizes there is no end to material desires for engagement, even after getting 5,000 sons. That means 100 sons from each one of the 50 wives. So he had 5,000 sons, and of course the greatest palace that anybody can even imagine. Still he was not happy, right? So what we may think that if we get that Lamborghini, if I only get that Lamborghini car, once you get that, it's not a final destination, right? It's like once you get that, okay, what is better than Lamborghini car? Oh, I want to become the vice president of my company. You work, do this, bad things, good, whatever it is, get to the vice president. Yeah, but I'm not the president, right? So it's not always the final destination, it's always an ongoing journey. I mean, we need to do what is needed, right? So let's get it right. It's not like when you're working somewhere, oh, I don't want anything, and you don't do it. That's not what is meant here. But excessive engagement in something will always derail us in material life, and we'll never get satisfaction. Even what we are aiming for is achieved. Now you tell me, how many of you would have thought if you migrated from India, if only I get a house, you work, you get there, so what? Now I need to work for this, right? So it's always a moving target. It's not the same. So Saubhari Muni finally accepted Vanaprastha and goes to the forest along with his 50 wives. He said, like his father-in-law or great father-in-law, right? What do you say? Mandanda's father. He's the one who went to the forest with 100 wives. Now, so what is the relationship of Yuvanashva and Saubhari Muni? So Yuvanashva's son is Mandata, and Mandata's son-in-law is Saubhari Muni. So what is Saubhari Muni's relationship to Yuvanashva?
Great father-in-law.
Father-in-law's father. So what is that? Grandfather-in-law. So grandfather-in-law. So he follows the footsteps of his great grandfather-in-law, and he goes with his 50 wives, whereas his great grandfather-in-law went with 100 wives, right? So he goes there. He went there. So it detached his senses, spiritual power, etc. So Vanaprastha means forest. Vana means forest, Prastha means departure or journey, going towards the forest, right? So it means detachment, preparation for spiritual liberation. I put series of verses from the 5th canto, but we're just going to read one, keeping time in mind. Who has not read, who would like to read the English translation? Anybody from the back who can read? Prabhu, why don't you go ahead? Yes.
Okay. Lord Vishwadeva told his sons, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and for hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, some of these verses are very direct, very, looks like, wow, right? That we need that sometimes, right? So it conveys the message. There are beautiful verses in this Lord Rishabhdev's teaching in the 5th canto. Few more, I'm just going to read. When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activities. Do you agree? So when we are attracted to something, let's say gambling, I want to be neutral, let's say gambling. When you are attracted to gambling, you will not have enough money at your disposal to go and gamble, because the more you play, you lose, and you want to play more so that you can get back what you lost. So you're going to get into sinful activities to get more money. You'll be cheating others to get more money so that you can gamble. That's the example here. He does not know that due to the past misdeeds, he has already received a body which, although temporary, is the cause of misery. So, in a way, we are all here because, if we did not commit any sinful deeds in the previous lives, we will not be in this material world. Is that safe to say? Because it is said that once we complete, spiritual activities, we go back where we don't have a body. So when we have a body, something we have not done properly, and that's why we are all here. So that's what it says. Is he does not know that due to the past misdeeds, he's already received a body. He means he, she, etc. It's not for men alone. by the way, right? So, already received a body which although temporary is the cause of his misery. Therefore, I think it's not befitting an intelligent man to involve himself again and again in the activities of sense gratification by which he perpetually gets material bodies one after the other, right? So our aim is to get out of this material body. So endeavor for sense gratification is a useless waste of time, right? We are like animals. It says more verses, but I'm going to skip this, I'm going to skip this. All verses similar to what we are talking about, right? So don't be too attracted to material sense gratification because it's going to not give us permanent happiness and it's going to cause more suffering in this life or in the next lives, right? So more here. But finally, Saubhari Muni goes to the spiritual world after performing severe penances and engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. Okay? So he goes to the spiritual world and his wife also falls. All the 50 wives also go to the spiritual world. That's what it is here. So detachment means, it says detachment. Detachment is not about giving up on life. It is detaching from the outcomes, thus unburdened by fear or desire. Agree? So when you say detachment means, so you can get attached to many things, but don't get attached to the outcomes. I want this from this person. I want this from this job. I want this from this, right? So if we detach ourselves from the outcomes, then we are unburdened by the fear or desire. A very deep statement, right? So again, relevant to this passage. The 50 wives of Saubhari Muni also entered the spiritual world by Saubhari Muni's spiritual power. So if you just stay with your husband or stay with your wife who is spiritual, you will also benefit. Your sons will also benefit. So don't worry if your sons or daughters or your husbands or your wives are not as engaged as you are. Because of your engagement, your dependents or your husbands and wives and children will benefit from this. So this is a key from this pastime.
Wow.
Okay, his wives also attained the spiritual world because they didn't do all these wondrous, wonderful spiritual activities even in the forest. We don't read anything. But they went, and clearly it says they went because of the husband. Is there any other example in spiritual, in our Srimad Bhagavatam? Exactly, beautiful. Dhruva Maharaj's mother. Dhruva Maharaj did all this austerity, one leg, not breathing, 6 months and chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva forever and seeing Lord face to face. And then the spiritual aeroplane came, Nanda and Sonanda, they were taking him and he's looking, his mother is already in another aeroplane, spiritual aeroplane. So again, if we stay, don't become a hindrance. If your husbands or wives are much more spiritual than you, help them be more spiritual. Don't become a hindrance to them because of what they do, you will benefit. Because of what you are doing, our dependents will benefit. So don't push them for coming to this temple, do this, do that. Don't push them because they may go further away. Is that right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
But you just doing it and then you praying so that they get the benefit, they will not only get the benefit, but they go back home, back to garden. Clear example. There are more examples, by the way, but these are two good examples. Saubhari Muni's wives, because of Saubhari Muni, they go back home, back to garden. And because of Dhruva Maharaj, his mother gets to go home, back to garden as well. Okay, so now we do a quick summary because I start off here, then we go here, similar pastime but different pastime, then we go here, come back. Now we'll go from here to here. Okay? So chronological summary, concise recap to ensure clear registration of the pastime. You don't need to take notes because from here onwards you have it in your hard copy. No need to follow that, but you take it home. Okay, very quickly going. The childless king. Okay, Yuvanasa had everything, but also 100 wives, but no children. Okay. So, compassionate sages perform a sacred ritual. Mistaken sip. I'm just going to go through the keywords that will, mistaken sip. And because of that, a child is born. And by the divine will of the God, by the divine will of the Lord, the child is born from a male. And miraculous birth, baby was born from a king. And Indra's milk through the index finger is given to the child. And King Yuvanasva returns to the spiritual world because he performs all these austerities. Mandata, the son who was born from the male, rules the entire world, and his other name was Trashadashu, given by King Indra, and then he ruled the entire world. And he was in devotion and he gave so much of charity. We spent many slides on the importance of charity, if you remember, and also the yajna. Why Krishna says he's Agni 5 times, etc. Right? We've spent a lot of time on that because that's the significant part of this pastime about Mandata, how we perform devotional service. He had a glorious family with his wife Bindumati. They had 3 sons, Purukutsa, Ambarish, Muchukunda, and 50 daughters. Out of the 3 sons, maybe I'm going to ask this Mataji's side. Out of Purukutsa, Ambarish, and Muchukunda, who was the person who was sleeping in the cave? Muchukunda. Very good. Who was the person with Dhruva Maharaj's, not Dhruva Maharaj, sorry, Durvasa Muni's pastor? Sorry, that was much faster than me thinking of the question. Thank you. And the 50 daughters got married to? Saubhari Muni. Okay. Austerity within Yamuna, the second part of the pastime, right? So Saubhari Muni did the austerity not in the shores of Yamuna, but underneath Yamuna. And that austerity was broken by desire. When he saw 2 tortoises or 2 fishes. And he got the desire to marry, and he talked to King Mandata, who was the king at that time, and he wanted to get married. And then the king said, it's up to my daughters, because he was not looking that handsome. So he said, up to my daughters. And then he, because of his austerity and because of the power of chanting the mantra perfectly, he not only became so young, but he had the palaces that were unbelievably beautiful. So his body transformed into a young person. Mystic youth and beauty was there, and the sisters were fighting against each other to get married to him. Nobody wanted to get married before, but now everybody wanted to get married to him. And he had a life of luxury, extraordinary garments and parks and clear water lakes, and everything that you can dream of was there. The king was in awe. Mandata was the king of the entire world, but he was surprised with the opulence of King Saubhari Muni. There was pleasure without peace for Saubhari Muni. Even though he had 50 wives, he had the best of palaces and everything else. He had 100 sons from each one of the 50 wives, but still 5,000 children, but pleasure without peace. The root cause he thought was the association with the 2 fishes. But we also know what Acharya says, Vaishnava Aparad was one of the causes. Who's the Vaishnava he offended? Garuda. And again, we can't just have this vegetarian thing, because Garuda is the carrier of the Lord, but he's natural. Sorry.
I was going to ask that question at the end.
Yeah.
He is the ride for Lord Vishnu. How can he eat snake and fish?
It's Garuda, right? It's a bird. So that's why it says that is an offense. Who are you to stop his natural food? His natural food is eating the fishes and eating the snakes. So if God has arranged in such a way, who are we to judge so and so should be a vegetarian? So, it is, this Garuda is meant to eat, is in all the pastimes, as we know. And when he flaps his wing, the 4 Vedas are chanted, it is said, right?
So powerful.
It's powerful.
But isn't he committed sin by killing this?
No, it is not. So again, that is one of the reasons why this pastime is there, because he committed this offense because the natural food of this Vaishnava is that. So that was the offense that he had made. So again, certain things we need to be more flexible in understanding it. So the natural question would be, why is he not a vegetarian? And again, the offense was because he tried to stop him from eating his natural food.
But how come he became a Vaishnava?
He's also, so Vaishnava means, again, there are many things. The love of God is the primary thing. So Prabhupada also said, just because we don't, we follow the 4 regulative principles, that's not the greatest characteristic of a Vaishnava. That's the low bar. That's a low bar to cross, right? Yeah, not meat eating, those are all low bar, basic, bare minimum. But you think that is what is the make or break of a Vaishnava? That's not it. Love of God, right? So here, the love of Garuda to God is unbelievably unimaginable from what we can see. But again, the lesson here is Garuda's natural food is snake and fish. Okay? And the offense that Saubhari Muni created, and he went through this and he was seeing this, right? So yes, he thinks that the offense was seeing the two fishes, be careful. But why did he see the two fishes? The two fishes could have been so far away in the lake, not where he is, so he could have been as. But then because of the Vaishnava Aparadha, our Acharyas explain unanimously, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Prabhupada, everybody says, because of his offense to Garuda, he had to see that. And then the desires that were dormant came up to the surface.
So I think it's similar to the concept of like animals, like lion, their food is eating another animal. So I should
They're not
say
creating
they're not committing sin actually, because they're doing what their natural thing. So I think it's similar concept, because Garuda is a bird, so his natural food is an animal. So it's a similar concept.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. So
but he's
when a tiger kills a deer, he's not going to get punished. There is no sins for only in the human form of life. You have this sins, right? Like, oh, you are supposed to eat this, you're supposed to do this, not for animals, right? So just because elephant doesn't eat meat doesn't mean that he's a Vaishnava compared to okay, so warning to others, desire has no end, right? So he has this 5,000 sons, 100 sons from each one of the 50 wives. So he goes to the forest and finally he gets this spiritual accent, and his wives are also liberated to the spiritual world because of his spiritual power. So clearly it says it's not because of the 50 ladies who did some sacrifices. It is because of the husband's spiritual power. So again, as we discussed, one of the takeaways is, if your wives are not supporting you, that's okay. Because of what you do, your wives will not wives. Dhinita Prabhu is getting all excited. No. So the wife will get the benefit. So with the Matajis as well, the husbands will get benefited by what you do. Your children, your grandchildren, daughters, sons, everybody will get benefit. These are all from the scriptures. Okay?
It says Jivanam Jivastu, yes?
Everything has to eat something else, right? So the frog has to be eaten by snake will be eaten by mongoose, right? So up to that level, right? But when it comes to this human species of life, that's when, Okay, so now let's look at the lessons learned very quickly. Embracing lessons with a positive attitude transforms challenges into opportunities and fuels continuous growth and prepares us for future challenges in our life. So again, important thing from Srimad Bhagavatam classes is lessons to be learned. Forget about these things, like something could be, oh wow, I don't understand that. How can somebody go underneath the water and do the meditation? So leave out some of the noise that we cannot understand, even though these are real pastimes. This is what is the worth of us gathering here. What can we take away from this pastime? Okay? Maybe I'm going to ask you, what are the lessons learned before we open this up? Anybody, do you think there is something for you personally that you have learned that you want to take it in your life?
Watch what you see.
Watch what you see. Very good. Yeah, very good. Watch what you see. And also, even if it's attractive, somehow we need to bring Krishna into that, where Krishna says, I'm among procreation, I am so and so, right? So you see the power of Krishna, but not fall into it. So one is avoiding is okay, but even when you see it, not fall prey to what we see. So watch what you watch, or watch what you see. Very important.
And you cannot run away from the
reality of the world, right? You have to be in this world. So he went underneath the water to avoid the distraction, and such an insignificant, you tell me, none of us would have, I don't know whether we would have gotten into the same thing, like it's an insignificant thing, right? So what is this? Who cares, right? Nobody even bothers. But here, that actually instigated him. Very good. Yes, please.
It doesn't fall any time.
It doesn't fall at any time. Yeah, so having the spiritual knowledge alone is not an immunity. I think that was one of the, having the spiritual knowledge alone does not save us from things. We need to be really imbibing that and internalizing that, and anytime anything can happen.
You have to be able to very control your senses.
Yeah.
That's more important.
Yeah, try to engage all your senses.
Being so austere if you can't control your senses.
Yeah, so controlling the senses, right? So
Take
again,
care.
very, very important. Anytime anything can happen. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's servant, if you remember, right? you'd have read this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu served, he was walking with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in South India, everywhere. Can you have a better association than having association with Krishna who's walking with you? Krishna and Radha are together, walking with you, everywhere in South India. But then these Bhattatris had these women who influenced, and then they took him away. So he felt, he was attracted, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saved him, right? Anything else? So many lessons to be learned. Anybody from here?
You have the opportunity to do a thing right, even if you have done something wrong earlier.
Beautiful. You always get a second chance. So he did not, yet he thought that is the ultimate pleasure, more pleasurable than the austerity that he was going through, worshipping the Lord and pleasing the Lord. He thought, yeah, I think I have to get married. And then he went through it, and then he realized I made a mistake. Right? So he had a second chance to go back. Yeah, he did not. It's okay to fall down. You fall down, falling down, all of us fall down, but then getting up again is more important.
Come back.
Come back, yeah. So second, don't stay where you are. Wonderful point. Anything else?
And be happy with whatever you.
Sorry?
Be happy whatever you have.
Yeah, be happy with what you have, right? Yeah, it's good to aim for a little bit more, but that cannot be the be all end all.
Yeah.
Right? Wonderful.
Similar to what Mother said, like there's no end to material desire.
There's no end to material desire. We talked about it. It's not a destination. It's always a journey. You think of it from your standpoint as well, right? It's never a destination. It's always a journey. We aim for it 20 years later. Even in 18 years, we'll achieve what we want to achieve later on. But yeah, you forget that this was your dream many years ago, right? As though, yeah, so what? I have that $1 million too. So what? But I don't have that, right? The grass is always greener in your neighbor's yard, right? So we always think that is what is needed. What else?
Doing your duty religiously has its rewards. The Saubhari's Muni wives, they were devoted to their husband and they followed him and they also got rewarded.
Beautiful. Yeah, just doing what you're supposed to do, right, will take you to the ultimate destination, right? So they just supported the husband. They didn't say, what's wrong with you? You have the best of the kingdom that even my father was, jaw was dropping for my father who ruled the entire world. He was so happy, and I got married to you because of your beauty, and we, 50 of us, got married to you because of the beautiful opulence, and now you're telling me that we need to go to the forest, there's no nice place to take bath, no, they didn't say that, right? They went with him, so beautiful. So just following, the person who's doing it, following your duty religiously will get you the ultimate reward. Wonderful point. Okay, let's see if there's anything new. Happiness isn't in numbers, okay? He had 100 wives, but 0 children. So it's not like in numbers there is something. So true joy comes not from quantity, but from the inner connection with the divine, okay? Devotion that delivers miracles, right? The kind-hearted sages carried out the yajna with deep care and devotion. So again, when you're devoted, what is the point of having prayers? Mantras that you have. If you think that, oh, my destiny is to have this problem, that problem. No. Why do we have Narasimhadev there for our protection? If your destiny is to meet with an accident at that point in time, just imagine sometimes the shoelaces would have got knotted. Oh my God, I'm in a rush. The shoe, let me untie it. That means that Rudra's weapon, which is the car that is meant to hit you, would have gone by that time because of this, right? So you offer the prayer sincerely, karma changes, right? So devotion will deliver miracles. So the devotion of the sages in this case, for 100 queens, no children for several years, but then just by miraculous water, they were supposed to get the child. But then even though that got disrupted, the child was born from a king. Divine plans work beyond logic, right? So man gives birth. Where there is divine will, there is divine care. There's no mother to give milk, but from the finger milk comes from Indra, right? Austerity leads to eternity. Okay, his commitment to penance and devotion open the way. Whose is this? Who we are talking about? Is it Mandata or his father? Father. Ganashma. See God in every offering, right? Mandata saw every part of fire sacrifice as non-different from Lord Vishnu. You remember, right? The ghee, the prayers, everything is Lord Vishnu. Giving glorifies the giver. So charity, we covered that a lot. So give in charity, don't hold back. If you have a chance to give charity for anything, give it. Give more than what you normally give, and you see the reaction of what you give, right? Mind and senses are powerful. Even a sage can fall. The senses and mind are powerful enough to pull down even the most austere person. So we have to be careful. Escape the world trapped by desire. The heading says it all, right? Escape the world trapped by desire. So Saubhari Muni escaped the material world in a way, went into the water, and then still he was trapped by desire. Luxury without peace. Okay? I try to spend a lot of time in getting the headlines. Okay? So the heading will help you, and all that is there. Luxury without peace. He had the best of palace, best of wives, best of children, but no peace. High pleasure and low satisfaction from here. Okay? And then don't offend the devotee. Saubhari Muni offended Garuda by forbidding him from coming near Yamuna and forbidding him from eating his natural food, a mistake that contributed to his downfall. Prabhu mentioned, fall but rise again. Very good point, right? So falling is okay, but getting back up is vital. So he repented and wanted others to learn from his mistake. Break the cycle. Don't continue the status quo. He returned to the forest, performed penance, and attained liberation. The fall is in the end, connected to this. Ajamil and Saubhari Muni both had a fall, but neither stayed fallen. Right? Very important. These are the things that you will not hear normally, but these are things that, because we go deep into it, we are able to extract all these things, right? Both of them fell down, but never stayed fallen. Ajamil was saved by chanting Narayana. Saubhari Muni took Vanaprastha and attained liberation. Their redemption teaches falling is human, returning is divine. Liberation is shared. Because of Saubhari Muni's progress, all his 50 wives were liberated, just like Durva's mother. Watch what you watch. I think that's what you mentioned, right? So very beautiful. Watch what you watch. So peace is not the absence of trouble, but calm in the midst of it. We saw the story, right? We saw the story of the bird, in spite of everything around. The power of material energy is very strong. I think most of you mentioned this. True renunciation must be from the heart, not just external. Never too late. Saubhari Muni, Ajamil, Khatwanga, Maharaj, Parikshit all attained the highest goal, even though they had very less time. We have much longer. We don't know what will happen, but we seem to not have this defined timeline to end. Saubhari Muni, what happened to him? Right? His time was running out because he was already old and everything else, and then he got his youth, and then it's never too late for him to do the right thing. Ajamil, he chanted Narayana and he got saved. He went to which city? Starting with H. Haridwar. He went to Haridwar and then performed devotional service, and again the spiritual plane came and took it. Khatwanga, you remember this pastime?
No.
Yeah. He actually, he was serving the Devata. Devata said, we need a king. We need a fighter to fight for us against the demons. Can you believe they took human beings? So there are many instances like that. Bharata was another one who was actually called by the Devatas to fight for them against the demons. So he also fought for them, and then he asked in the very end, he made the Devatas win against the demons, and he said, the Devatas asked, what do you want? You remember Muchukunda, what do you want? I want to sleep without interruption, but when I open my eyes, somebody should get killed. So here Khatwanga said, they asked him, what do you want? You helped us win this fight. We are truly grateful to you. Please ask us what you want. How long do I, how much longer do I have to live? Will I be living in this body? They said you just have one muhurta. One muhurta is what, 48 minutes, right? Yeah. One muhurta. So instantly he got transported from the from the heavenly kingdom, not spiritual, but heavenly kingdom. That's where he was fighting for the Devatas. And in that 45 minutes, I don't know how long it took for him to come. It doesn't say from the higher planetary to the earth. But he came, performed devotional service, and he went back home, back to God. So he had 48 minutes only. Maharaj Parikshit had
7 days.
7 days, 24 multiplied by 7, whatever hours that he had. But he completely, it's ironical because the whole Srimad Bhagavatam started, or why it started was because he was so hungry and thirsty, he went into this ashram of a Muni and he was so angry that he was in meditation, he didn't give him respect to threw the dead snake around him because he was so thirsty and hungry. And here, for 7 days, he's listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, no eating,
No drinking.
no drinking water, nothing, right? So, it's never too late. Okay? Watch what you watch. Be careful of what you choose, whether it's media, entertainment, even your thoughts. Again, it's very important for all of us because you know about yourself. Others will not know. Okay? So watch what you watch because it will progress into action. Okay? In today's world, there is so much of endless content, right? It's, just like the pastimes of Saubhari, one glance changed the course of their lives. That one moment of unguarded vision led to a long detour from their spiritual path. You remember Ajamil also was very dedicated to Vedic rites, supporting his father. Mind and senses. In yogic and bhakti philosophy, the eyes are considered powerful gateways. What we see doesn't stay in the surface. It enters into the mind, imprints in the heart, and influences the actions. Very important. So this is very, very important. Drishti dosha. It is in the concept where a glance, if somebody is jealous of somebody, right? When they just, he's got a new house, or his son went to Harvard University, when they just look like that, it can impact a person. You've heard all that, right? That's why you put all the things outside your house and, everything, right? So, the importance of eyes. So, eyes can do a lot of things, okay? Okay, let's go to the quiz very quickly, okay? So, if you open your hard copy that you have, I know it's a little small print, hopefully all of you everybody can read that, right? Okay, perfect. Okay, are we ready? We went through this many times, so it should be a cakewalk for all of you to answer these questions. First question, Dash was childless and eventually retired from the family life and goes to the forest with Dash wives.
King Yudhishthira and 100
wives.
B. Yes, B for Balaram. King Yuvanasva with his 100 wives. Very good. All of you got this right. Right? You have anybody needs hard copy? Everybody's got. What? Yeah. Please, we have a lot of copies here. Anybody wants more copies? And again, we'd like to thank.
This goes to Kajan Prabhu. He printed this time,
Who?
not me. Kajan Prabhu.
Oh, I see. Wonderful. Prabhu Kajan. So let's, put our hands together for the devotees who are doing this wonderful service. I just send them the soft copy and they print, they do all the hard work. Okay, so the next one. Dash with all good symptoms was born from the lower right hand side dash abdomen.
C. Chaitanya, basically.
Yes. So the answer is C for Chaitanya. Mandata with all the good symptoms was born from the lower right hand side of Yuvanashva's abdomen. Okay. When the baby Mandata cried for milk, Dash put his dash in baby's mouth for the baby to drink from the finger.
D. Indra put the index.
Indra with his thumb? No, Indra with the index finger. Again, these are details, right? So, but it's good when we go through a pastime, let's get it perfectly. Okay? Mandata means gentle ruler of the world, fierce ruler of the world, powerful ruler of the world.
A.
Gentle ruler of the world. 5. Yuvanashva performed severe austerities and returned to the spiritual world. True. D for Balaram. Okay, 13 questions I think we have. Okay, 6. Indra gave the name Prashadishu, giver of fear to criminals to whom? Mandata. Very good. B for Balaram. 7. Dash ruled the entire world from where the sun rises on the horizon, shining brilliantly to where the sun sets. Mandata again. Okay. Number 8. Saubhari Rishi was engaged in austerity deep within Dash, but breaks his austerity when he saw two fishes engaged in sexual affairs.
C for
River
Chaitanya.
Yamuna. C. Very good. 9. Saubhari Rishi came out of the river with the desire to get married to one of the daughters of which king? Mandata. Very good. 10. Saubhari Muni married Dash daughters of King Mandata. Sure, 50. We talked about 50, 100.
50 daughters.
50, very good. Saubhari Muni, number 11. Saubhari Muni's severe austerities and being an expert in chanting mantras not only gave him youth and beauty, but also opulent material paraphernalia. True. Very good. 12. Saubhari Rishi had dash sons from his dash wives.
100 sons from each 50 wives. A total of 5,000.
Very good.
Each.
13. Saubhari Rishi and his 50 wives enter the spiritual world. True. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. So hopefully, this will create a lasting impression in your consciousness, right? So we go deep into this pastime from various acharyas, going through the chronological sequence, and as we are going through, getting similar pastimes and connecting it, and then lessons to be learned, which is the most critical part of why we are getting together like this, and of course the quiz. And you taking this home will, refresh your mind whenever you are going to read this, right? Saubhari Muni, I think I have the paper. Go through it. That's all. What you have is what you need to know to refresh your mind about this wonderful pastime. Okay? His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki.